Oh my god. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Play 1001 Games. I'm your host, Gaming Jay, and today we're playing Scramble. That was my lame attempt at scrambling myself. This is a shooter that's less about shooting and more about not crashing. Oh, and look, there's even a UFO worth mystery amount of points. I like that. Interestingly enough, we actually saw this game back in my Vectrex special. Remember when I played every Vectrex game ever made? It was like a 2-part video. I honestly had no idea that a Vectrex game was in the 1001 book. I would have double checked, but it didn't even occur to me. And so when I saw that this game was in the book, we had to play the arcade port, of course, because that's the sort of main version of this game. But I said, oh my god, this game was on the Vectrex. And oddly enough, unlike most arcade games of the era, you know, most arcade games were ported to everything. They'd be on Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, Atari 8-bit, DOS, Nintendo, like just everything. This game was only ported to Vectrex and the Tommy Tudor computer system, whatever the heck that is. So that's super rare. It's super rare for an arcade game to not be ported to anything. So of course we're going to check out the Vectrex version yet again. Any excuse to dust off the old Vectrex and give it another shot, eh? Okay, I've talked way too long. It's time to put in some quarters and put my money where my mouth is and play some Scramble. So you control this little ship here, and the terrain is like oddly changing color. You can shoot, and you can drop bombs, and those, oh god, are the only two things that you can do. And so you just kind of like go around dropping bombs on fuel. Okay, so here's the other thing about this game. You can run out of fuel, but when you bomb a fuel tank, you get the fuel. I don't think the developers of this game understood how fuel works, but whatever, we're gonna go with it. So as you can see, it is a shooter. And it's got sort of like two shooting modes. You have to sort of shoot above and in front of you. But a lot of this game, oh my god, is going to be about avoiding terrain and not dying. So not dying is traditionally not my forte in video games, but hey, hell, I'll try anything once. We're doing okay on the fuel, actually. Surprisingly enough, I thought that was going to be a major hindrance. I mean, now we're starting to run out, and things are looking really bad with, oh god, these like crazy UFOs that are like all over the place. So there's a whole risk-reward strategy in this game. If you stay really high up, away from the ground, then you're not going to be hit by these random missiles that will like launch from the ground. None of these missiles have been launching in forever, by the way. But see how there's like missiles around the fuel tank? Some of those will randomly launch. And if you're near the ground, then they'll get you. They will get you. So if you stay up high, you can avoid that. But it's also harder to hit fuel tanks when you're higher up because it takes longer for your bombs to fall and you can only launch 2 bombs at a time. So there we go. I crashed into a hill accidentally. Now it's like, I think we're getting close to Bowser because we're starting to see his fireballs. You guys remember like in Mario Brothers 1 when you're in the castle and you're getting near Bowser, fireballs will start, he starts like spitting fireballs down the hall at you. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm surviving this. Can't believe it. This is impressing even me. Although that's not saying too much. I'm easily impressed. Oh my god. So, okay. I feel like the enemy forgot that they have missiles that they can fire at me. Oh, now we're in like urban environments. Oh my god! Oh, they didn't forget about the missiles. They were just lulling me into a false sense of security before they murder me with all the missiles. My god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Run, 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 run. Just run for it. Get the fuel, get the fuel, get the... Ah, damn it. Alright. I think we are at the 5th screen, if I'm not mistaken, or the 4th screen or something like that. So I think there's like a boss if we make it to a base. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not 100% sure. But, so this is a very different kind of shooter game than a lot of the other early arcade games, because, you know, in the early arcades, things like Asteroids and Defender and stuff, you were often just sort of like shooting various enemies around. They were like trying to kidnap humans, or you know, they had other dastardly plans or whatever the heck they were trying to do. But in this one, it's a lot about avoiding the terrain, and it feels far more like strategic in a way that like Asteroids and Defender, like, I mean, Defender had its own strategy, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't quite the same as this. Oh god, look, now we're in like a really narrow corridor. They're giving us like a fuel refill before we get to the boss. Oh my god! How are we supposed to do that? We died on the fuel tanks. Oh man. Okay. So this is gonna be a hard part here. So maybe, oh shoot! I meant to press forward and I pressed right. No! Or I pressed up. Okay, can we try this again? Can we go again? Player 1. In the background, I just hear like a jet non-stop going. It starts us back at the beginning. All right. Oh my god, and we died. Okay, well, old gaming trick. When you die at the very first part of the game, I mean, you wouldn't do this in an arcade because you're throwing your quarter away, but if you own this game on NES, of course you sacrifice yourself, just restart the game. I remember my brother and I used to have rules for like how far we had to get in a game before we were past the point of suiciding. So it's like you had to pass the first couple levels, because if you died in the first few levels, it's sort of like, well, you know, you died on the easy part, man. Like, you need full health to get to the later parts, you know, full lives. So there's no point in continuing to play if you're dying on the first few levels. Just reset the game. In fact, you didn't even have to suicide on NES. You could just go ahead and hit the reset. Although sometimes it was like faster to just suicide, you know. Then you don't have to get in a fight with your brother about whose turn it is to walk up to the NES and press reset. Even though it was never that far away, I always remember it being like a bit of a fight. It's like, well, I don't want to get up and do it. It's like, you do it. And he's like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, well, I'm the older brother. You do it, damn it. So that's a little insight into Gaming Jay's childhood there. But yeah, so this game, as I said in the sort of opening there, this game was ported to the Vectrex home computer console system and the Tommy Tutor, whatever the hell that thing is. And it just kind of makes me think, like, why? Like, what were they going for then? Like, in an era where literally everything was ported to everything. Oh my god, we're doing so terrible the second time around. In an era where everything was ported to everything, why would you not port this to, like, bigger systems? Damn it, like the Commodore 64, VIC-20. You know, why no official release on those systems? Why are you saving this game for the Tommy Tutor system? The best I can figure is that it was like some kind of exclusivity deal with Vectrex, maybe, to like try and give the Vectrex like a really good game. Because like this game is actually heralded as being like, you know, and a really important game, and like a lot of people like considered it, you know, I think it holds the Guinness record as one of the top 100 arcade games of all time. So like, one of the top 100 arcade games of all time was ported only to the Vectrex and the Tommy Tutor computer system. So there you go. I don't know what that means, but I think it means somebody messed up in the franchising department. They could have made a lot more money off of this game with official releases. And it's not even like back in the day people were making like quality ports of video games. Like I'm talking like back in the early days, like people would just make ports of anything, and like it didn't even have to be good. Like the Atari 2600 version of Pac-Man, you know, that's like notoriously a really bad port of Pac-Man. You know why? It's literally a prototype. They hired a programmer to port Atari, or to port Pac-Man to the Atari. He showed up to the office with a prototype, and he's like, here's what I'm working on. And they're like, print it! And he's like, but it's not done. And they're like, sell it! You know, like, they didn't care. In an era when, like, nobody cares about the quality of games, how could you just not port this to everything that existed? I don't know. It baffles me. There's obviously some kind of story here. Maybe somebody knows the inside track. You know what'd be awesome is if somebody watching this video right now is like, well, I worked on the original Vectrex, and I can tell you there were a lot of, you know, like, they give us, like, behind the scenes, kind of like, oh, there were, like, closed-door discussions of, like, getting the rights to Scramble. Man, I cannot pass this UFO part. I blew past this the first time. I didn't even realize how lucky I was to, like, get by this part, but this is, like, really throwing me for a loop here. I'm just, like, wasting lives. Maybe I'm focusing too much on getting all the fuel. I need to focus on killing these things so that I don't die. Like, I'm not even worried about the fuel anymore. I'm just worried about, like, not dying. Which I think is the name of the game. Ah, damn it. Actually, the name of the game is Scramble. That's me getting scrambled. Sounds like I'm getting beat up or something. I don't know. But yeah, okay. So let's say that the next death, which is right now, is going to move us over to the Vectrex. So this has been Scramble on the arcade. We almost got through the urban environments of some kind of boss level. How far can you invade our Scramble system? This is an early Konami game, by the way. Look at that. Konami, 1981. I wasn't even born yet. Think about that. This game is older than me. That's crazy. That's crazy to play games that are older than yourself. Anyway, all right, let's go ahead and pop over to the Vectrex and see what the one of the two home ports of this game actually looked like. All right, and this is it. Scramble came out in 1982, so 1 year later on the Vectrex. And for those of you who did not watch my original Vectrex video, the Vectrex is a sort of complete home console where basically everything is drawn with lines, as you can see here. So it is essentially the same game. The Vectrex had 4 buttons. This one only uses 2. That's all you need, really. And as you see, it plays virtually identically. Let's see how far we can get in this. So the Vectrex is kind of an interesting console, you know. If you're curious about it, you should go check out my 2 videos where I played through every single game, including this one. And you can actually go, I forget what I said about this game at the time, so you can go and see what I said about the game. But obviously it had no colors, no sprites, nothing. So all it's doing is drawing vector line graphics on the screen. And as you can see, there's sort of an overlay on the screen that basically sort of gives it faux colors and gives it a faux heads-up display, right? So, you know, it could not draw colors this sophisticated. That was beyond the capabilities of the Vectrex. Oh, God. This part's actually a little easier because the Vectrex can't make these UFOs move fast enough, so it's as long as I keep a lot of bullets on the screen, oh my God, I could actually dodge that a little bit. It was easier than the arcade, I'll tell you that. So it looks to be like a pretty faithful recreation so far. I mean, the first level looks and feels pretty identical to the arcade. It's interesting because I would consider this an abstraction of the arcade game. Oh, I think we got an extra life. Where you know, if you don't focus on the fact that the graphics kind of are just, you know, really unsophisticated compared to the arcade version, it actually plays very similarly. So gameplay-wise, I would say this game seems to have essentially the same gameplay that you would get in the arcades, which is pretty cool, actually. I mean, that's the whole cool thing about, you know, home consoles and even computer versions of video games in the arcade is, you know, being able to play arcade games at home. There was a time when the only way to play a video game is to go to an arcade. A thing that most kids probably these days have no idea what it was actually like. I mean, I barely remember it, and I lived in the 80s, so it was even a bit past my time. But it was one of those things where, if you liked video games, you went to an arcade. There was no gaming at home. You did not game at home. You went to an arcade. So to be able to, bring this home, even this abstraction, right? This would be crazy. This is a crazy good port of the arcade version. So, yeah. I mean, definitely, comparing them back to back, I can see that. Again, I'm curious what I said about this when I first played it for Vectrex, because I had not even heard of the arcade version, and I definitely didn't realize it was in the book, the 1,000 Games Was Played Before You Die book. So there you go. So you're getting some double Scramble here. Scramble actually has a bit of an interesting history. I said that it was sort of an important, influential game, and it inspired things to come. Actually, interestingly enough, at one point in time, at least one point in time, Konami has claimed that Scramble here is the first game in the Gradius series. Oh man, I thought we were going to get through there. Konami's claimed this is the first game in the Gradius series. So they've since sort of reneged on that. So it's unclear whether that's true. But, damn it. Oh man, I think we can get past this part. But at one point in time, at least, this was considered a Gradius game. So as you can see, obviously, it kind of inspired Gradius. Because, you know, the people were claiming it was a Gradius game at one point. Okay, go, 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 go. Oh, God, this part's actually, really hard. Oh, my God! No! Oh, man. Oh, we're back to the beginning. Oh, man. I don't know if I can get past this part, to be honest. It's pretty tricky. I'm gonna... Oh, damn it. It's I'm gonna try, but, guys, don't put a lot of faith in me on this one. Don't put a lot of faith in me on this one. Okay, here we go. We have 27,000 points. We got this. Go down. Go. Go. Ah! Oh, God. Oh, God. Go down, go down, go down, go down. Oh, man. Thank God there's no obstacles to shoot here, because it's taking like all my concentration just to get through that. Oh my God, we made it through! Yeah! All right, we done the level yet? This is farther than we ever made it in the arcades. Definitely proud of this performance here. Do we have to shoot those diamonds? Oh no, we're really low on fuel. Oh no. Okay, hold on. There we go, maximum fuel. Oh wait, that passed the level. Yes! Level 2! They even give you some victory music there. All right, and then level 2 is more of the same. Kind of a cool variety of gameplay for a game this old. Like there's sort of the missile fields, I'll call them. Then there was UFO Cavern. Then there was Bowser's Fireball Alley, and then at the end there was like you know, the crazy canals or whatever that you had to like kind of get through before you like got squished on the walls. Pretty interesting variety of gameplay, I will say. I imagine the later levels are just more and more of the same. Game over. Or just end, I guess. Here, hold on. Okay, here's a funny thing about the Vectrex. So all the Vectrex games came with this like overlay you'd put on the monitor, but this is what would happen when your brother lost the overlay. So invariably, kids lose things, and then eventually Scramble comes to look like this. It's this is what you would eventually have once your kids or your brother or whoever eventually lost the overlay, or you just get too lazy to put it on. I mean, honestly, like, what's the difference playing the game this way versus if you did have the overlay? I have read stuff about, you know, people who played the Vectrex back in the day would say that, you know, like, even though the Vectrex technically didn't do color, the overlays were actually pretty clever, and you could get so engrossed in a game that you could kind of forget that it didn't have color. And actually, that's fair enough, because, like, thinking back to when we had the overlay here, it did kind of feel like the game was kind of in color. I know it technically wasn't, but it did kind of feel like it. Now, obviously, it feels black and white. But again, if thinking about this game as an abstraction of the arcade anyway, I mean, the gameplay is still here, so in some respects, the overlay for this game is totally, like, unnecessary. Like, if you didn't have it, it didn't really take away from the game at all. I don't think, in fact, any game for the Vectrex, the overlay is 100% necessary. But it's always like a nice addition, at least. So if you are in the market to buy a Vectrex machine, you know, and you are buying games or something, you know, you're a collector, do try to make sure you're getting the overlays, because they're you can play the games without them, but obviously having the overlays kind of adds another layer to the Vectrex. But if you are not a so inclined collector, by the way, you can go ahead and download an emulator and play all the Vectrex games for free. The Vectrex has been opened up to the public. I don't think the games are technically in public domain, but the creator of the Vectrex has given permission for the Vectrex and all of its games to basically be, you know, free use. So I'm playing this one on an emulator. You are allowed to go download an emulator. It's called Para JVE if you're curious. 100% free, 100% legal. Go and check it out if you're so inclined. It's kind of cool. And if you check out my other Vectrex videos, I think there's only like 50 games or something. And the emulator actually comes with the games because they're allowed to do that because it's completely legit. So kind of an interesting, Vectrex has kind of had like an interesting history. The last thing I can think to say about Scramble here is that it is a Konami game. And being a Konami game, there is a way to unlock it using the Konami code, or I know it better as the Contra code, the up, down, left, right, BA, start code. I think there's some kind of like Konami arcade collection, I think released for the Xbox 360. And if you enter the Konami code on the title screen of that collection, it will take you to Scramble. So there you go. It's kind of like a hidden game. Boom, Bowser got us. Anyway, I kind of feel like we're tapping out here Scramble. I mean, we've seen the first level a handful of times. We've seen it with color and without. We've seen it on arcade and on the Vectrex. We have even beaten the first level, which makes us Scramble champs. And so Scramble here is one of the games in the book, 1001 Video Games You Must Play Before You Die. And I think as far as like old school arcade games go, actually, this one is pretty interesting. It has like a level mechanic where the level changes the further into the level you go. Not a lot of arcade games were like that in early days. Like, think of, like, Defender and stuff. It was just, like, a battlefield, and it didn't really change all that much. Like, this is, like, there's distinct parts of the level. There's, you know, like, now we're in, like, the urban environment. Eventually there'll be, like, tunnels that we have to get through. There was the UFO cave. There's missile fields. There was Bowser's Fireball Alley that we just passed. Like, there's distinct types of stuff going on here. And you do have to, you know, risk some stuff to get the fuel. So, I don't know, kind of an interesting arcade game. I understand why people might consider this one of the better ones of the Golden Age, at least in the top 100, as Guinness Book of World Records considers it. I'm shocked that this game did not get more ports. Just knowing a bit more about it now, I'm shocked that this game did not appear on more consoles or things like that. I think as far as old school Golden Age arcade games go, this is definitely one that is worth playing before you die. If you're not a fan of those kind of old school simple games though, then you might want to skip it. But I think if you are a fan of Golden Age arcade games, how come you haven't played Scramble yet? You tell me. And actually, I think everyone should try a Vectrex game before they die. So whether it's this or some other Vectrex game, again, it's free, guys. Go check it out. It might be kind of curious, just to check out and see what it's all about. Anyway, those are my thoughts. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, whatever you think of my opinion and this game, hopefully I've made today entertaining. If that is true, don't forget to subscribe to the video, like the video, blah, 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 blah. You guys know the drill by now. I feel like maybe sometimes I'm boring you, or a lot of people just turn off the video when we get to this point, so I'm not going to go through all the details every time anymore. But until next time, my friends, you all take care of yourselves, and we will see you soon. Alrighty, guys. Peace.